The last few parshas find Israel at odds with its leadership. Once Israel started down its final journey towards the promised land in Parshat Balotecha, everything started to fall apart. There was the episode of the complainers, then the quail, Miriam and Aaron's complaint, the spies, and now finally in this week's Parsha Korach, Korach's rebellion and his vie for leadership. Korach charged Moshe with trying to install himself as supreme leader, saying that Moshe was making himself holy when actually the whole nation was holy. In response, Moshe challenged Korach. In the morning, Korach should bring his men and offer up incense before God. Aaron will also be there, and he too will offer up incense before God. From whomever God accepts the incense offering, that will be a sign as to who God chose to be the leader. But how does Moshe's challenge to Korach address Korach's basic complaint? On the one hand, the Midrashim point out that it was a setup. Anyone other than a Kohen who would offer up incense before God would be liable for the death penalty. When issuing the challenge, Moshe had warned Korach and his 250 cohorts from Ruvain of these consequences. Yet they did not believe Moshe and were willing to go through with it anyway. But Moshe was not just trying to set up Korach. He was trying to answer Korach's charge. First of all, it was God who had appointed Moshe and Aaron to their leadership position, not any person. If Korach wanted to challenge anyone concerning their leadership, he should challenge God. And if he wanted to challenge God's decision, it meant that Korach needed to be able to function in some religious capacity, which meant the capability to offer incense before God with it being accepted, showing that he and his men were as capable as Moshe and Aaron. Secondly, Moshe was trying to show Korach that leadership is not just concerning the mundane, but also the spiritual. A leader, and especially a Jewish leader, must be able to function and inspire the nation in their relationship with God. A Jewish leader is not there just for himself, but for the nation. Being at the top is less a position of power and more of a burden of serving the people. As well, if Korach wanted to replace Moshe as leader, Korach must be able to speak with God and act as an intermediary. Moshe was thus challenging Korach, asking if he was truly up to the task. Third, Korach was trying to instigate a coup privately. He came to Moshe with his 250 cohorts from Ruvain, plus Datan and Aviram, and essentially told Moshe to step aside. Moshe, however, was not intimidated by Korach and his cohorts. Moshe, in turn, threw them a challenge. If there is nothing to hide, then why would they need to confront Moshe in private? By Moshe delaying any action until the next morning in daylight, Moshe was insisting that any leadership challenge must be done before all, in front of the whole nation. Any private challenge and change of leadership would look very suspicious. Finally, Moshe was challenging Korach to reflect upon his actions. Korach should look back at himself and realize the hypocrisy of his charge against Moshe. Leadership necessarily requires that someone will be elevated over others. If it wouldn't be Moshe, then someone else would be the leader. By Korach pursuing the leadership, he himself was attempting to do what he accused Moshe of doing, of elevating himself over all of Israel. Moshe's challenge to Korach was teaching him and us what makes a good leader of Israel. Over the last few parshas, Moshe's leadership might have been placed in doubt, but in this final confrontation with Korach, he was warning others against unduly seeking this position, while finally accepting upon himself the yoke of leadership. Shabbat Shalom.